Hey, well, welcome to Insight Line today. It is a joy to be with you. I've got my friend Rob Duhame right here with me, and we are going to have some fun today, recognizing that the Insight Line is the line of life. And if you haven't noticed, when your life ends, if somebody loves you, they're going to get a little plaque, and it's going to say your birth date, and it's going to say your death date, and there's a little line in the middle. Well, guess what, folks? Today we are inviting you to recognize that that line can be elongated and you can live above the line and make it a better life. Very simple. Now, at the end of the day, that little hash mark in the middle, it goes by like this. But what we are here to talk about today is recognizing that the amount of time you spend above the line is really up to you. It's your choice. It's your opportunity. It's your joy. It's your recognition of, I can make life whatever I want it to be. Now, how do I do that? The phrase we're going to use today is simply, we take responsibility and we play above the line. And I invited Rob here today because Rob as a coach, Rob as a neighbor, Rob as a friend, Rob as a father, Rob as an individual in my community has been inviting people to take responsibility for as long as I've known him. But that's really not the most important part. Rob loves to play. He loves to invite people into their best life and say, let's be a little ridiculous. I mean, that's really where I met Rob. He was out forecasting that we could live a ridiculously
ridiculously
awesome life.
Yeah.
That was his little mantra. And I'm like, what is this ridiculously awesome life thing? What is this guy pushing out into the world to say, live a ridiculously awesome life? And I summarize that by fun or play. But anyway, we're diving in today. We've both got a background of working with people, and we wanted to invite you into the Insight Line saying, it's available. Do you want it? It's available.
It's always available.
Do you
It's
want
always
it?
available to you. Yeah, the thing is, like, as Casey alluded to, is living a ridiculously awesome life. For me, I started saying that probably like 8 years ago or so, and it was actually from a sign that my wife saw in a restaurant. She said, "Oh, there's a sign that I saw. It said, 'Have a ridiculously awesome day.'" And I was just like, "Ridiculously awesome!" Like that actually like struck me, and I started telling all my clients at that time, "Hey, have a ridiculously awesome day. Have a ridiculously awesome day." And then it eventually morphed into "Have a ridiculously awesome life." And what it really means is that you're living in joy,
Yeah.
that you're living with deep relationships, you're living full out. And I truly believe, like, when you text me and you said, "Hey, let's talk about, living above the line and taking responsibility." You can't live in full joy unless you take responsibility.
Absolutely. That's ridiculous.
It's
Sorry,
rid-
just got about something. And I'm going to station identification. If our studio team, I do have a little bit OCD inside of me that I absolutely do not control, but because it's coming out right now. Studio team, could you move us to the side a little bit? I feel like Rob's falling off over there,
Oh,
and
maybe I'm not centered.
I've got all this room over here.
Here, I'll adjust it right there. There we
Oh
go.
my goodness.
How about that?
Is that?
It's more cozy.
It is more cozy. I felt like you're falling off. Like I want to pull you back in.
Well, my OCD would kick in and say, "Well, the TV's not centered then."
Oh my goodness. The table's in the wrong spot. Guess what, folks? This has been an opportunity for us to recognize that it is so easy to get stuck below the line trying to fix all the problems. I mean, now what do? Do we dance it back?
I think we just push on.
We just push on.
We just push on.
How do you find your way above the line when the world is so screwed up? I mean, that's not really what our topic is, but at the same time, how do you do it? How do I do it?
Right.
Because we both jokingly acknowledge there's a little bit of something in us that would prefer to control the world.
Right. And what's the old saying? It's like learn to accept the things you can't control. Control what you can, and learn to accept what you can't control.
The prayer of serenity.
Yeah, the prayer of serenity. And the thing is that we can get drugged down real quick if we're focused on what's outside of our control. You're driving to work, someone cuts you off. someone cutting you off was outside of your control. What you choose to do with the rest of your day emotionally, it can ruin your day or it could be a blimp in your day. It's just dependent upon, where you're taking responsibility. and
Mhm.
and I find that the only thing you can take responsibility for is how you react
Mhm.
and then what you choose to do from there,
Mm.
right? So I mean, we've had interviews before where I kind of opened up and told you a lot about like my
Quite a
family
story.
life,
Yeah.
right? So I grew up in I'll give you the cliff notes, really dysfunctional family. If you've ever seen an episode of Cops, my family's in the back seat. they're they're not driving the vehicle. And that's the family I came from. We had people in and out of jail, drug addicts, people that, would get caught and go to jail for theft. And like,
Mhm.
that's all my family. And, I had to make a decision pretty early on, like, well, what am I going to do?
Right.
What am I going to do with that? And one distinction I made different than my siblings who got caught in that sort of lifestyle, the decision I made was, well, I want something different. So I'm going to choose to think about this
And I'm gonna
differently.
interrupt.
Yeah.
You're giving us all permission to say that very same thing in our life. That
Oh,
that I
absolutely.
want something different is not only it was that simple. You I
Well,
mean, no, no,
okay,
I mean,
it's that simple. It's not
it's
easy.
that simple to come to. If I would actually recognize that I want something
Right.
different, that is the first step, if you will.
Yeah.
And really, I pause for that on Rob because it's what we acknowledge in ARC. Different is available. Whether or not you want it, that's still yet to be
Mhm.
determined. But you not only acknowledged, hey, wait a minute, I see the pattern that's in front of
Mhm.
me if I continue to go down the path of my family line.
Right.
In that acknowledgement, you recognized I want something different.
Right. Well, and let's be clear. The first time that I recognized that my family was different and I didn't want to be like my family, I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to do.
No.
I didn't know what choices I needed to make. All I knew is that they were one way and I wanted to be a different way. And it really wasn't until I was like 16, 17 years old that I started coming into this idea that, oh, I can actually choose that. Like I can actually take steps away from the story that my family lives out over and over
Mm-hmm.
and over again. So to me, it's like even before acknowledging that you can change it or you can take control of it, you
Mm-hmm.
got to first acknowledge that this isn't right. This isn't what I want, and
Yeah.
and you gotta almost kind of look at your life uh, objectively, which is very hard to do, right? And that's why I'm very quick to say, hey, it's simple but not easy
Simple but not easy.
because there's all sorts of things in your head. There's all sorts of things that I was dealing with that was like it was just part of my story.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, of course I'm gonna end up like my family because I come from no money. Like I have no money, I have no resources,
Mm-hmm.
or I have no support, or I don't have a father that's consistently there for me. Mostly he's gone because he fights with my mom, and then how he dealt with his problems was I'm gonna fly back to New Jersey, right? We were out here in California. And then my mom, the way she dealt with problems was, well, I'm going to start drinking. Like I'll drink my problems away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't really have anything that showed me like this is how you change. All
So
I know is I
and
wanted to change and
and
that
and
that I needed something different.
you didn't have option A or option B in front of you.
Right.
You simply had something inside of you that said, uh-uh.
Yeah, it was actually a friend of mine, his dad was the first person that made me recognize I actually had options, right? So
And we're still back at 10 years
yeah.
old and preceding up
No,
to
no, no,
that.
this is 16, 17.
Okay, so
16, 17. Uh, my friend's dad sits me down, and me and my friend, I mean, we're still best friends to this day. We used to get in trouble all the time, right? And
I'm so glad we weren't hanging out together at that point because I don't know that either of us would have made it here.
well, we were doing dumb things that
That's
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
just
wanna,
we're dumb boys, right? We're getting in trouble. But I was really kind of reckless. I was acting really reckless, and he sat me down, and it was the first time an adult sat me down and said, "Look, you're funny, you're smart, and people naturally like you. and you can have a different life.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you you're good looking. That's
That's okay, baby. I know it now. So the thing is like it's when he kind of sat me down, it was like the first time like an adult really
yeah.
took the time to tell me that.
That mentoring,
Yeah, yeah.
nurturing.
And his name is Bob. Bob, if you ever
Thank you,
see
Bob.
this, love you, Bob. He's an amazing man. Best friend's name is Derek. He would be like, "Oh, you didn't say my name."
No, you did.
No, I did.
Yeah.
But, Bob, he really took an interest in me. He was that surrogate father when I
Hmm.
needed him to be. And that was like the first time I realized, man, I have options. I can probably do this different. But it really wasn't until I was like 22 where I really
Oh
started
my
to
gosh, you're
believe and
so old at
take those
22.
actions. Yeah.
So I'm going to take it to you now. You just heard Rob's story, which, as Rob shared, I've heard his story before. And as he shares it again for me, I want to invite you to recognize your story is powerful. Okay. No matter what has been written in your story, it's there for a reason. It's powerful. It's there to demonstrate who you are, who you have been, and who you can and will become when you tap into the raw resources of that story. That's just a side note. Um, Rob, we're talking about taking responsibility today. Um, and I'm going to, you're going to run with this. Is it your fault that your parents parented you the way they did?
Okay. So here's it's not my fault that
Okay.
they were the way they were,
Correct.
but it is my choice of what I do with that.
Okay, we're gonna don't go any farther because I don't I'm only pausing, Rob, for the sake that I want you to really let that sink in. Okay, as Rob sits here, he's already recognizing, he's hinting at responsibility, and today we're talking about taking responsibility. So, Rob, at the age of 10, acknowledged, oh, wait a minute, there's options, there's choices, and I don't want that one. Correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then by 16, he was recognizing, I better do something different.
Right, right. It was a moment in my life where it was just like, "Oh, I wait, not only do I want something different, I can do something different."
Yeah.
Like that's what it was.
And what I want to invite you is, okay, if Rob at 16 can figure that out, okay, there's something innate. It just means it's inside of all of us. Better is available. Better is an option. Not all of us have the awareness to choose it, but I just want to invite you today. I'm going to assume there's probably not very many 10-year-olds or 16-year-olds that are going to catch this. And so I'm not speaking to the 10-year-old and the 6-year-old that is watching right now, but I am speaking to the 10-year-old and the 6-year-old that lives inside of me, the 10-year-old and
Yeah,
16-year-old that lives inside of you, and it lives inside of you too.
yeah.
That's you, that's your story. And I just wanted you to recognize that if in this moment you look back and go, yeah, I made the wrong choice. Or, yeah, nice for you, Rob, but it's too late for me now. I'm 40, I'm 80, I'm whatever it is. It's not too late.
Mhm.
The moment you take responsibility is the moment you begin to immediately come above the line and go, there's air up there. I've been drowning all my life. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I didn't know it was available. So it's not your fault, but
Mhm.
you had a choice. I interrupted you. Go right back
Yeah,
there.
yeah. No, no, no. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, I had a choice. As soon as you become aware of it, and then you become aware that you can actually have power over it and you can do something with it, then it becomes your choice of what you do.
Mm,
I believe we were talking about this the other day. I've heard it before, but you said it again, and it just resonates with me. Is responsibility is your ability to respond,
yeah.
right? So if you know that something's off, and then you know that you could do something about it, now it's well within your capabilities
Mm-hmm.
of actually changing that thing.
Yeah.
um you know Regardless if it's your health or physical health or mental health, or if it's you want to improve your relationship, you
Yeah.
want to heal your marriage, like whatever it is you can choose differently than you're choosing now.
Mm-hmm.
Because one perspective I always try to keep is that I'm living right now in the choices I've made in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, the results I'm getting right now are
You
directly
you have created today's reality with the number of choices that you've made leading up to it.
correct,
Yeah.
and there of course, there's things that happen outside of my control. Other people, I can't control other people.
Yeah.
I can't control the weather, right?
Yeah.
I can't control traffic. I can't control all of those things.
Mm.
Um,
And those aren't your responsibility then to control those things.
my responsibility is not to control those things, but my responsibility is to take in whatever's going on and make the best possible choice moving forward.
Absolutely. And for me, Rob has said a couple words, and it's word choice is powerful when you make it powerful. Okay, so redefine your words. As Rob clarified or used a word I always talk about, the ability to respond invites me to become more aware of what I have responsibility over. So for me, I tend to avoid the word react because as I look at the word react, there's no distance between what we call the stimulus and the response. There's just a reaction. Um, we can reframe that word and go anything that happens after something else is a reaction.
Mhm.
My reaction is a breath. My reaction is a pause. My reaction is to take a step back and simply look at it. So it's not the word that's the problem, but for me, responsibility is where I recognize I'm not in control of that. I am in control of my choice on my attitude, my actions, and
Mhm.
my efforts. And I can control what comes back out of me, and I can control how long something lives inside of me.
Mhm.
There's a metaphor that it's simply that it's not the water that sinks the ship, because when a ship is sailing, the water actually buoys it, it lifts it up. It's when the water gets inside the ship. So we're responsible
Mhm.
for what gets inside of us.
Yeah, we're also responsible to grab some buckets and shovel it back out, So don't let your ship sink because,
Wasn't my fault.
"Oh, man, there's a hole in my boat. Oh, well."
Yeah.
It's when everything happened recently with just how the nation responded to COVID and
Mm-hmm.
and everything happening there. Um, there was a lot of people that lost their livelihoods. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that lost their jobs. There's businesses that went out of business. My family, we personally went through financial problems
Mm-hmm.
during that time as well. And and after something like that happens, we obviously can't dictate what the world does. But
Clearly.
but it definitely, like, just speaking from my own point of view, it definitely put me in a place where it's just like, well, doesn't matter that the world did that. I got to figure this out. I
Mm-hmm.
got to figure out how to, put food on the table, how to take care of my family. I need to figure out how to stay sane during all of this. Like that's my responsibility to figure that out. And of course, when you're a father or a mother, when you have dependents, um, you have extra responsibility because you're not just responsible for you, you're actually responsible for another living, breathing human soul.
Man, I'm feeling burdened by responsibility all of a sudden.
But the great thing about that was, and what I took out of the entire experience is just like, yeah, we might have hit this quote unquote rock bottom
Mm-hmm.
for that period in our lives. I'm still alive. I'm still good. I made it through,
Yes.
and the thing is that I I truly believe, Casey, and I truly believe this. I'm nothing special. I truly believe that. I'm nothing special. It's just the difference between me and another person that doesn't get the results I get is choices. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody can make better choices. I think everybody, even if you're making good choices, you can make better choices than that. But that it's all dependent upon your outlook and what you're willing to do.
Amen. Welcome to the ARC path, where we are inviting a lifestyle path to better choices. It was summarized right there by Rob saying, hey, look, no matter where you're at, we're not just trying to take people from negative 100 to zero, and we're not ignoring people who are at 0 to positive 3. I want to come alongside people who on the scale are at positive 88 and go, what does 89 look like? Because that's a huge
Yeah.
increase for somebody whose life is doing pretty good, to be able to have the hope that it still could get better.
Mm.
And so let's go from that shifting, go up one in that up mentality. So we take responsibility and we play above the line. That word play, that's there on purpose to cause us to look at that and go, how much play is happening in your life today? Or is it all just work? I don't know if you have kids that are in grade school, but all three of my boys, recess was by far their favorite time of school because it was play. It was fun. It was engaging. And somehow as we get older, we think it's duty to take responsibility and we leave play out. We're going to bring those things together. And Rob, I know you love to have fun. I know you engage drama and acting. You like to get out and just play with your kids.
Yeah.
Has play always come natural to you, or is it a choice?
You know, I want to be joyful. And I don't think I think that's a human trait. I
Mm.
think we really want joy. Like I think a lot of people get caught chasing happiness, but what you really want is joy.
Mm.
Happiness is totally dependent upon my circumstance.
Yep.
Hey, if this thing happens, then I'm happy. But if I'm joyful, no matter what happens, you can't take that joy away from me. And that's what I'm actively always trying to make sure that I'm living out on a daily
Mm.
basis. It's like, am I being joyful? And you know what? And I'll be honest, sometimes I fail.
Yeah.
I fail at that. But
Yeah.
but I'm always seeking how can I be joyful? That's why it's just like I look at my kids. My father was in and out of my life,
Mm-hmm.
mostly out. And I look at my kids and I go, well, what kind of father can I be for them that I didn't have that I
Mm-hmm.
wish I would have had?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have had my dad sit down and play video games with me
Yep.
and go on the trampoline and take us to the park
Mm-hmm.
and all of that stuff. So that's what I do with my kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? They haven't complained yet.
They haven't
They like
complained.
it. So
And what I'll invite you to realize, just to think through that play is not merely going through the motions. If Rob takes his kids to the park and sits on his phone and has stress about the responses and oh my gosh, and I got to do this
yeah.
and this is coming up, the act of being in play
Mhm.
has been undermined because below the line you're getting back into the place of I've got to fix, I've got to solve, I've got to control, I've got to deal with this. But when it's done, then I'll go play. The take responsibility play is that it's a responsibility to actually have the ability to respond to the time and the day to play. I mean, I'm going to slow that down again. Choose to play even when there's work to do.
Yep.
Because the work will be there. Now, this is not a license, as Rob was talking about. If the ship is sinking, get a bucket. Get that water out of the boat. There is a time to work, but there's a time to play. And you really do have to take responsibility for the choice to play.
If you can't find joy in your daily, coming and going, right? If you can't find joy in your 9 to 5, if you can't find joy in the thing that you dread the most to do, then it's always
Mm.
going to emotionally impact you in a negative way.
Mm.
One thing that I've had to learn over the last couple years is stop, breathe, stop being so serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a tendency, like I have two modes. It's like I'm either goofy, laughing, let's be joyous, or I get super hashtag deep. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like motivational quote deep. Okay,
I
that's
have no idea what you're talking about, Rob.
and the thing is that is like, yeah, those two modes are great, but sometimes getting deep with something and getting too serious about something is just killing the joy that you have in that day.
Mm.
And what you find is if that event happens at the beginning of the day, what have you set yourself up for?
Yeah.
So finding the joy even in the most mundane things. With my kids and chores, right? We make it a game.
Make it fun.
It's just like pick up this. I'm gonna set a timer, see if you can beat the timer. And they enjoy it. The floor gets picked up, right? And everyone's happy. Especially
I
mom.
was going to say,
So
especially in the mom. As Bridget's like going, yes, thank you, get it done.
Yeah. So what over the last couple years, what I've had to learn how to do is in my day to day when I'm talking with people I work with, people I partner with, or whatever, find a thread of joy
Mm.
that carries me from the beginning to the end of the day.
So I want to highlight Rob's words. He says, "I've learned how to do," which means it didn't come natural. It wasn't just waiting for him to go, "Okay, I'll choose that today." When we learn how to do something, we are choosing a pattern of repetition. We're repeating a process in order to bring that into our lives so that it becomes the natural order of things. And when I say natural order of things, it's the created order of habit. And so if it's not natural for you to have joy, um, we that's where the healing comes in along the arc path, because you weren't designed without joy. You weren't born into this world without joy. Somehow along the way, the joy got stolen, it got crushed, it got put away, and healing simply invites you to go, I might have to go mining, digging, pull that up, uncover it. Some of us have a lot of stuff we got to work through. We've worked through a lot of stuff.
And here's the thing is, and this is just me being real, it comes back up. You know, like
The stuff.
you can work through something and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it presents itself again, and then you can either choose to like undo what the work you've already done or just say no. Like I know I have power over this. I know I have overcame this already.
Yes.
There's no reason I need to play back into that.
And either we take responsibility there
Mhm.
or we go to blame. I already dealt with this, so the fact that it's happening again means it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And that's where blame and excuses and even denial come up. Those are all below the line qualities. Above the line, the other way we move is we just take responsibility. We invite accountability, where we can give account for these things and go, hey, look, I'm recognizing that that thing is back in my life again, and I'm going to give an account for it. I didn't know there was another layer. And then we take ownership. So we have this process of living above the line that happens in that breath, that is learned,
Mhm.
it's chosen, and it's available for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want it? If so, hang out with us. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We're walking the arc path. We're simply acknowledging repeatedly at age 10, 16, 22. Well, I'm going to keep going up because I'm older than Rob. So 46 and onward, to keep acknowledging there's more healing that I desire in my life, because I want joy to be more free. And restoration is the choice to learn and build and grow, study, discover, learn how to do something you've never learned how to do. If you haven't played video games for a long time, go try to figure out the new video games. I remember when it shifted from the video games I grew up with
Mhm.
to the video games my kids were playing with, and I went, there's too many buttons. I don't like it anymore. I'm losing every time I play. And I had to choose to say, do I want to have fun or do I want to win? And then I learned I win when I have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're losing the video game.
That's right.
Because there's too many buttons.
He's going to
Um,
beat you eventually.
Yeah, no, and it's so true. It's you have to consistently adapt
Mm.
as time goes on. Like, you know, I think one thing that I always try to make people aware of is as I'm talking about these things, it's not as if, oh, I figured it all out and I've arrived and you just need to listen to everything I'm saying. It's just like, no, we're consistently on this path.
Yep.
We're consistently till the day that we're, you know, no longer drawing breath. You're either consistently improving or you're consistently declining.
Yep.
You know, and you can that lever that which direction you go, it's really just up to you. It's up to your choices, it's up to your habits, and if you want better, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
You can't and you brought up that like, okay, so I use the word like, you know, this is what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't come natural to me. Keep in mind, let me go back to my family again. I come from a family of complainers.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh man, like life isn't working out. This person fired me. They're the problem. You know, like, oh, your brother's in jail again. You know, like they're like it's
The system
constant.
has worked against him.
and it's like they're addicted to the drama of
Yeah.
it, you know? And when you're pointing, there was this great analogy that I saw one time, that when you point to somebody else, you're extending your finger out, you're extending your arm out. And if I just put pressure on your hand, the other person has the leverage. But if you're pointing at yourself and then saying it's me, and I try to push down your arm, I just have way more strength in this position.
Go ahead.
Does that
Come on.
make sense? You got way more strength in that position. It, I got more
I'm
leverage.
trying
I don't
harder.
have to push that hard. So we'll work on your delts. So
We're gonna have fun doing it.
no, but that's the thing, is like, is when you're pointing away from yourself, you're giving other people the
Yes.
leverage on you. You're
Amen.
giving other
Such a
things,
great analogy.
you know. So I had to learn over time, stop complaining. Stop making a big deal of it. Stop thinking about the worst case scenario, and really start thinking about, well, what am I going to do about it?
Yep.
How am I going to change this? What's within my realm of control? And then you just focus on those things.
Absolutely. Well, we've navigated the ARC path today, just simply inviting you with this little catchphrase, just saying, take responsibility, play above the line. Neither Rob or I wrote the phrases together, but we both touched it. We both have seen it, and we both have lived it, even when we didn't know the phrase. Today, we're inviting you to not just know the phrase, but to put it into practice and begin to look at it and go, what can I take responsibility for? What will I take responsibility for now that in the past I haven't? And then how can I change the response, the ability to respond to when it happens in my life, whatever it is? That's progression. That's an invitation of the ARC path. And then you heal and restore throughout that journey. And then you can move into the place to say, I'm going to begin to take responsibility for play. I'm going to increase the level of play in my life. I'm going to make a choice. I'm going to engage it, and I'm going to look for joy. If you're playing and not finding joy, find a new game. Okay? It's simple as that. Something is going to awaken joy inside of you, and Rob so beautifully described it earlier. It's in you. Fan it to flame and let it come out. Rob loves drama and being improv and all those things. I don't. Now, have I been there before? Can I do it? Yeah. But you go, man. Where are you going to go? You are unique. It doesn't make you special. It makes you unique. It makes you one of a kind. It makes you an individual who's on your own path. It's not your parents' fault. It's not even your fault until you become aware to make a choice to go somewhere different. So if today was the first day that you kind of went, I hadn't thought about it that way, join us on the ARC path. Okay, you can join our private closed Facebook group. There's a lot of people in there, but chat with us there, connect with us. Both Rob and I are there. You can find us. Okay, you can join us on Thursdays at noon Pacific Standard Time. So that's the West Coast time. We do team building. And why do we do team building? Because it's fun. We actually play games together. We kind of let it go. And there's a whole lot of, I got to be better. I got to be stronger. I got to be smarter. I got to be faster. I got to make more money. And we go, let's bring play into your work environment. That's where we go team building. There's a lot of other stuff coming your way. Thanks for joining us today on the Insight line. That's another place you can join us. You can type in questions. You can text us on that side. Send us little insights and we'll answer you. There's other things coming up very soon. I'm very excited about this, and I'm going to pull Rob into it. Group coaching. How are we going to do that on the ARC path? What does that look like? Would you want to be a part of it? I want to be a part of it. So let's go after it. So much is coming your way, and we're excited to take responsibility and play above the line. We're glad you joined us today, and we will see you back here on the Insight line next Thursday at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for joining us today.